What is up, you guys? What's up? What's up? What's up? It's episode 2. I got so many pillows in my chair. Hold on. If you all are watching this on YouTube, then you can see, but I have a lot of pillows in my chair. Let me get a little comfort for y'all. What is up, you guys? It is your girl, Deja D, and welcome to episode 2 of season 2 of my podcast, Let Me Tell You Something, post-grad diaries. So yeah, we talked a lot in episode 1, just so you all can get a little synopsis of where I am, what this season has in store for us, and just what else we have to come and all the deeper topics. So I'm excited. We're going to get into episode 2, which is titled, What Do I Even Want to Do? But before we get into that, I want to let everybody know, no matter where you're listening to, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube, to make sure that you are following us on all social media platforms at Deja's Daily Dose. That's D-E-J-A, Daily, D-A-I-L-Y, Dose, D-O-S-E, Deja's Daily Dose. Every time I be spelling that stuff out, I be thinking I'm in a damn spelling bee. I be like, I hope I do not mess up my spelling. I hope that I spell it right when I say it, because imagine me spelling like my name wrong or like daily wrong. But anywho, make sure you're following us at Deja's Daily Dose on all social media platforms. That's TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Make sure you're following me, your host, Deja D, at all social media platforms at DEJ7A's on TikTok. Oh, 7 A's and then a D. So all of that's going to be linked below. Don't worry if you didn't catch it. Don't worry if you can't spell. It is all linked in the description box below. Everything you need to know, everything you need to find is in the description box below. The links to all social media platforms are in the description box below. Links to my Amazon storefront is in the link below. Everything is in the link below. I have a link tree. All of it is linked there. Okay? Make sure you're checking that out. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, I'm not sure if Apple Podcasts has this feature, but Spotify has a feature where you can basically just tell me what you think about the episode, and I would love to hear you all's feedback on the episodes. Definitely make sure you're tapping into that. Alrighty, now that we got that's out the way, let me tell you something. I don't even know what I want to do. I think that, you know, the purpose of the podcast is to talk about things that people are going through in their early 20s. And a lot of people in their early 20s, or I don't like to generalize, I don't like to say everybody, because I know everybody's different, but me in my 20s, I feel like I wonder sometimes if life would have came with a handbook, what I would have done or what it would have said. You know, we're at the age where it's like, we're young enough to make mistakes. We're young enough to still be growing. We're young enough to have that, like, oh, like, I'm only 22. Like, I'm not supposed to have my life type of figured out. But we're, like, old enough to where it's, like, you have real responsibilities. Like, if I was in high school, 14, 15, or whatever, making stupid, dumb decisions, that's completely different than, like, me being 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. You know, like, you have that adult, like, you're not like a, oh, I just turned 18 adult either. You're like, bitch, you've been an adult for a minute. You could vote, for real. Like, I've been an adult for 4 years now, and that's not a lot, but it is a lot when you think about, like, when you first became an adult. Like, 18, I used to think I was so grown. Like, not grown in the sense of, like, I think I know everything, but just, like, I'm an adult. Like, I could vote, da, 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 da. And it's, like, now, like, bills, like, real bills. Like, I think I got my student loan. I got my first student loan bill. And shout out to everybody out there who has to deal with student loans. I know a lot of people don't. So, y'all are blessed. Hopefully, I could bless my children with that one day, but shout out to my people out there paying student loans. Like, it's not a freaking joke. So I got my first one like that, and I think that I was like, when I got it, I was like, damn, I'm too young to get student loan bills. Bitch, I just got out of college. Like, the day that I'm filming this episode is December, so it's like not even 2024. Like, I haven't even been out of a college for a year, and y'all talking about paying for it. But that's kind of how I feel about, like, people in their 20s right now. Like, 20s, early 20s specifically, are, like, the times where it's, like, I'm still young enough to make mistakes, but I'm too old to make mistakes. So you're, like, in that in-between phase. And I like listening to people who are older than me, people who are in their 30s, people who are, like, I like listening and getting advice from people in their 30s and their 40s, because they remind you of, sometimes I even like getting advice for people in their late 20s, because it's like a lot can happen in a year. Like a lot can happen in a year, a lot can happen in a month, a lot can happen by tomorrow. So it's just like where I'm at right now in my life, it might not be the most ideal, but it is. I'm living in a blessing that younger me would have loved. And like I like the fact that I'm at the age and I'm at the point in my life where it's like I'm young enough to be still making mistakes, but I'm going to enjoy watching this process and I'm going to enjoy the journey and not like stress myself out of that. But I wasn't always at this point mentally. Like I definitely, like I said, when I thought of like topics to curate in this post-grad diaries series, it was from things that like I started to really feel and be stressed about and was getting depressed about when I first graduated. And this is like my journal, this is like my therapy, this is like me healing through that and like coming to a circle of like, I'm not supposed to know what I want to do. I could want to do one thing and then change it, in 2 years from now, change it in a year from now. Like, I feel like that's the purpose of growing and that's the purpose of life, is continuing to just grow and change. And as people, we grow and change and we develop more, and you might have the same core beliefs and the core morals, but the way that you do it might be different. I know that right now I could be in front of you all speaking in a podcast, but who's to know if that's where I'm going to be by the time I'm 40? And I don't even care to decide or care to think about if that's where I want to be when I'm 40, because so much can happen. I could wake up and want to be a damn engineer and building buildings one day when I'm 35, and I can go back to school and do that. There's just so many and so many, like so much opportunity out there. So getting in my head while I'm in my early 20s, trying to put this pressure on me to know exactly what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to get done, having a whole game plan step by step on this is what my life is going to look like in the next 2 years, 5 years, or whatever, down to the T. Now, I'm not saying it's not cool to have goals. It's okay to have structure and goals and to be working towards something, but to be beating the bush up on like, or beating the bush down on like having such a strict lifestyle to where it's like, I'm not allowed to change, I'm not allowed to grow, I'm not allowed to evolve as a person. I had to leave that. We gotta leave that in 2023. Years 2024, where y'all listening to that, I hope y'all left that in 2023. And if you didn't, leave it in the month of January. Leave that like, oh, I have to have everything all figured out to a T. I know a lot of y'all probably made y'all vision boards for 2024, and you're like, this needs to happen by Wednesday, February, the whatever, at 6-something p.m. Leave that in 2023. You're the only person putting expectations on your life. And if you have it on your vision board for 2024, go on ahead and get some whiteout, get a little sticky note, cover it up, the dates, the times, and the timelines. It's cool to have goals, but it's not cool to be living your life by such a handbook. But I shall digress. Let me get back to what I was talking about. I kind of like was going off script a little bit. But I do understand as far as just like wanting this handbook, wanting this, script. Sometimes I be like, sometimes I used to pray, and sometimes I do pray. I try to keep it more general and like, God, make sure that my steps are aligned with what you have for me. But it's also like you sometimes just want to be like, God, like, I need you to just tell me what you need me here to do. Like, make it so clear and crystal clear. And sometimes it's like, I'd be like, damn, like, I wish I knew exactly what it was. And I wish I knew exactly what it is, or how to do this to the T's. Because it's like, we want to not make these mistakes. We want to make sure we get it right because we don't want to go through the failures and we don't want to go through life. But yeah, like, I sometimes wish that life came with a handbook, like a literal handbook. Like, step 1, you're born. Step 2, you learn how to walk. Step 3, you learn how to talk. Step 405, you'll get your real estate license. Step 603, cook chicken and greens for dinner. Like, a literal handbook sometimes to just like help me figure everything out. Like, it's hard to figure a lot of stuff out. Like, as you all know, I said it already in this episode, but I graduated this May, and after graduation, I think that I was having a lot of self-reflection. And let me tell you something, I don't have a clue on what I'm doing. When you think about it, you've been in school from the time that you were, 3 or 4. I started school when I was about 3 years old. I'm from the DMV, and in DC, they have like schools and stuff that you can go to when you're like 3. So straight after that, we went straight to elementary school from the time you're 4 to like 11, and then you go to middle school, then you go to high school. And some people, after they go to high school, they straight start into the real world, straight start into work, trades, whatever they're deciding to do. But it's like, okay, cool. If you decide you want to go to college, then you go to college, and that's where you start a lot of your adult life. And I think that that's important to highlight, because sometimes I feel like, we listen to these podcasts, but we don't really think about the actual mental disadvantage that college sometimes puts on us as people, and as individuals, because you turn an adult. I started college. I actually went to pre-college. I was 17 at the time, but I turned 18. And depending on what school you go to, every school is also different. Where you go to school also plays a factor in it. If you go to school in a city, I do believe that you're completely different than a student who goes to school in maybe like a more country town, or like more like suburban style. Like me, my school was very like Hampton, Virginia, nothing going on, not shit popping. You want anything popping going off, you're going to go under the bridge just to go to another part of Virginia that ain't really that fucking popping, but it's popping. It's more popping than where you go to school. And the only way you can get there is driving 30-40 minutes, but it's still just a bunch of beach town. Like, that's literally what Hampton is giving. Not to shit on my school, definitely an experience, but where you go to school also plays a factor in your growth. And like, it's completely different, like going to school in the city. I have some friends, shout out to y'all if y'all are listening, but that went to school in, like, I have a friend named Bree who went to school at Clark, Atlanta, and your experience being in Atlanta is completely different than my experience being in Virginia. Then I also know people who went to school in New York. Your experience is completely different than the both of us. Then you know people that went to school in DC, and your experience is completely different than all of ours. Like, they're completely different based on where you go to school, how far away you go to school from where you're living at. I went to school 3 hours away. So it's like, I'm close enough to get home, if I need to. If I need to get on the train, if I need to get in the car, I could do that. 3 hours, that's not nothing. But then it's like, people that, like, I had a lot of people who I would hear that went to my school in Virginia that were from Chicago. And it's like, they wouldn't go home for no breaks. Like, plane tickets is not cheap. I knew girls that went to school, that was at my school from, like, California. You're not going home. Or if you do go home, it looks completely different than my going home. So you're going through these early adult years where people who did not go to college, and like peers of mine who did not go to college, some of y'all have kids now, y'all have real jobs, y'all moved into y'all first places, y'all been working, been having like this more sense of income. When you're in college, it's like, okay, like you can work, but you cannot work as much as your peers who are not in college can, so your money looks different. But you're an adult. And you have these handicaps on you to where, like, you'll have parents supporting you, which is not a problem. However, people who just straight off start working and people who don't go to college do not have to worry about that catch-up period. Because you don't have this forced schedule, you don't have this forced routine. You're in college, you're an adult now who can legally make all these decisions. You legally have so much responsibility on you. You're a citizen who's supposed to be contributing to society, and you're contributing in a way of going to school. However, it's completely different than people who are not in school. And it's like, when you come out of school, you're 22. My mother was married and had me at 22. I know people who are, I know people who are like 22 and pregnant, married, kid, bought a house, all kind of shit. But me, I'm 22, straight out of school. I don't have a job. I don't do it. Like, I'm just still figuring shit out because I'm like feeling like a kid. I'm feeling young. It's like I come out, nobody talks about this, or not a lot of people talk about this, but you come out of school and you're like, okay, it's like an identity crisis a little bit. Like you've been told, like for me, for example, you go to class, they say you could pick your own schedule, but you could still only pick your fucking classes based on what they have available. So it's not really picking your schedule. It's like, I mean, if I wanted to go to class at 10 o'clock at night, that might be what I want to pick, but if that's not what you offer, so you're picking, but not really. And they try to make it seem like you have this freedom and that, you do, and you do have more freedom than when you're in high school. However, you're still very much like, you're going to be at this school until you finish these amount of credits. And this is supposed to take, 4 years. If you finish early, then cool. But you're still pretty much on a schedule. They say you go to college for 4 years, your bachelor's degree take 4 years. That's how long it took me. Some people take longer, some people take shorter, but it's still a very structured, you have to take these classes before you get this. It's not just straight up like freedom. Like, it's not, you got more freedom, but you ain't got the freedom. And you're still living this very structured lifestyle. You're still in this environment of, you can go off campus to do things, but you're still this student. And like, even when you are in different cities, like if you are in, let's say, DC for school, if you are in Atlanta for school, if you are in Virginia for school, you live there, but you're still a student. Like when I graduated and I moved in with my girlfriend, that was my first time like just living in Hampton, Virginia. And it's like, your experience just living in Hampton, Virginia versus I go to school in Hampton, Virginia is completely different. Your experience of living in DC might be completely different than I go to school in DC. You're picking up what I'm putting down. Even if you live in the city that you go to your school in, it's a completely different lifestyle when it's summer break. You know what I mean? Like summer break, when you don't got school and it's like you waking up here and you're living here, is completely different than I just go to school here. And I know even for myself, I'm in Hampton, Virginia. I'm 18 years old, 19 years old. I don't even got a damn car on campus. I don't even have a car. I'm literally stuck on this campus unless I'm taking an Uber to another college event. Like, it's not like I'm just out here, I'm with the people who I know, and I know the niggas that go to my school. I know the people that go to my school. I'm here for school. So it's still very structured. It's still very step 1, wake up. Step 2, go to class. Step 30, hit up the block party, 32C. You know what I mean? You look up one day and it's step, 390, graduation. And then after graduation, the next step is up to you. And that's intimidating. Nothing can prepare you for life outside of school but life outside of school. They always say that life is the best teacher. Experiences are the best teacher. And even, if you're in school now and you're listening to this podcast, you don't know what it's like until you personally experience it. Everybody's experience is also different. My experience post-grad is completely different than a lot of my peers. Some people took longer to find a job. Some people took quicker to find a job. People have different degrees. People are living in different areas. We're different people. Our experiences are different. And I remember my first fall semester, or when fall semester first started, because right now that you all are listening, this would be like technically my second semester. But when fall semester started up, I just remember looking at people's stories. Like, I'm going to just specifically say, like, Corinne, like, shout out to Corinne if y'all don't remember from season 1. Episode 5, Corinne was on that episode, and she's a year younger than me. So I remember, like, looking at people like her Instagram story. So she's in her senior year now, and it's like, not being at school was just like, or like watching her like getting ready for my senior year, or like last day of classes and stuff. It's like, wow, I was really at that spot last year, and life just looked completely different this year, not being in school. Like, I'm looking around, it's like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? When your parents don't go to school, and when your grandparents don't go to school, like nobody in your family goes to school, and you're the first person to graduate and come out of school, it's like there's a lot of stuff that I know that I wish I would have known. And this is by no means faulting anyone. It just comes with being a first generation college student, and also being in an environment where a lot of people didn't go to school. Like a lot of people in my community that I was growing up with, they just didn't. That's not what my my circle looked like. A lot of people in my family didn't go to school, so their experiences was just really different than mine. And then when you don't have people who are able to give you advice and like really give you the reality of it, it's like, what makes you think that when I graduate I'm automatically going to just straight up have a job? You can, some people can, but that is not the reality. Like you're coming, you still have to be on that job hunt, you still have to be on that job search, you still have to be in that phase. And a lot of people, you know, if you don't know, then you have this expectation of just like degree equals job, and that's what it's supposed to be, but that's just not what it is. And you only really know that if you go to school, period. You couldn't have told 17-year-old Deja that I wasn't going to graduate from college. I was going to go and be a Army commander, and I was going to have zero debt. I was going to be making checks while I was in school. And yeah, I was just going to be living this large, fabulous life. Like that is what 17-year-old Deja went and set off to go do at Hampton University. And I come now, I sit with you all at 22, and it's like, okay, I'm in a completely new city. I said, fuck that ROTC stuff. My first semester, I was like, this is not for me. Shout out to everybody out there who sticks and stays in the ROTC programs. Y'all are the real soldiers for a reason. God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers, and he gives me different kind of battles. I don't got those battles. But like I said, I always shout out to those people. If you don't know, I was in the Army. When I was in high school, I was one of those ROTC kids. When I went to Hampton, I had a ROTC scholarship for the Army. I did Navy when I was in high school for the Army. My dad was in the military. My little brother's actually a ROTC student. But nonetheless, I was one of them. Like, I was one of those girls. And you all can look at me now and it's like, girl, like, yeah, I said the same thing. I kind of knew that that wasn't going to be my future. And like I said, it's not shading it. It's just knowing who the hell you are and being realistic with yourself. And that just wasn't for me. People are allowed to change. I changed. And like I said, that's what I thought I was going to be doing when I was 17 years old. And I changed because, let me tell you something, life does not come with a handbook. Life does not come with a steps or like rules and like do this and do that. You're going to think you're going to do one thing and then something else is going to happen, and it's not a problem. You can either look at that like a lesson or a blessing. Can I be a little vulnerable with you all for a little bit? I told myself I wanted to keep it real this season. I didn't want to sugarcoat shit with y'all. I didn't want to baby down stuff. I don't think that's, you know, beneficial to myself or beneficial to my audience. But I say it a lot. I tell you all like, oh, I was super depressed when I graduated college. I was super depressed when I graduated college. Super depressed when I graduated college. But like, I was super depressed. Like, opening up my season finale, crying and just being vulnerable with you all like that. Like, some people might think it's bullshit. Some people might think it's attention seeking. I don't have nothing to get attention for. I wear platform fur boots to homecoming. I don't need attention, bitch. I am attention. Look at me. Okay. Anywho, so it wasn't for attention. It was to be real. I like to document things, and I feel like God puts me through things to be able to share to others who might be going through it. That's my testimony. That's my purpose here. And your purpose might be different, but that's mine. Cool. I was super depressed when I graduated. I was going through so much, and anybody out there who has been depressed understands. And in this this industry of social media and doing a podcast and everything like that, you're allowed to have your emotions. You're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to be a human, but not really, because, or it comes at a cost, because I can be sad. I could be depressed. I can record stuff for you all, but at the end of the day, like, I have to be able to show up in some shape or form. I have to be able to get up and get myself together, get creative as a creative, period. I cannot create if my mind is clouded. I cannot create if my mind is sad, or everything I put out will be just sad. And not being able to create, which is what I do to get my income. My content is what pays my bills and makes the world go around, makes my world go around, you know? That's what I love to do. That's my passion. That's my calling. And being so depressed to the point where you cannot even get up to create, you don't have any ideas to create, you don't have no motivation to create, you're walking around in sweats, your hair is not done, you have a depressed mind, you're falling apart, your skin's breaking out. I had a really big, like, the week after graduation, I had got a really big, like, pus socket right here. And all that stuff comes from stress. Anytime you're, like, sick and you're like, why am I getting so sick? Or why is this happening to me? But yeah, I was just super sad. I was sick. I had a pus socket in my face that ended up when it popped, or when I was able to get rid of it, it left an extremely dark mark that I have been working, and I can proudly say my skin has done a lot better. I have a little makeup on now, but my skin is completely better. But all of those things have prevented me or slowed down my way of making money, which definitely affected me. Because if you can't make money, like, it was a lot, because now you're depressed off of your situation, and then you can't work. So your finances get depressed, and ain't nobody good when your money ain't right. And then, you know, y'all know, I moved out of my parents' house, moved to my grandma's house, and then it was like shit happened over there. So I moved again, and it was like not having that stability, feeling like you're just getting thrown away. Like, it was a lot to deal with. And I just had to really turn back to God. And I feel like sometimes God does that, and God will put you in those situations not to make you fall, but to see if you will call for him. Because it's like, you can sit and you can be going through all of that, and you could be like, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to get this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And it's like, girl, you're trying everything, and that shit's not working. And it's not like turning to God as the end all be all, but it's like, when are you going to, like, stop trying to fight so hard by yourself? And I literally watched church before I filmed this episode, and I felt like it was the perfect message for me to hear before recording this episode, because I was so focused on what do I even want to do, and like, what does Deja want to do, and like, that was causing me so much stress and anxiety on top of just all of the sad stuff that I was dealing with and things that would make me sad. And it's like, if you sit in this and you're trying to figure it out all on your own, you're going to be sad for a long fucking time. And I got to a point where I was like, I cannot be sad. I can't try to figure this out. I try all methods. It's not working. And I don't want to keep trying to figure this out by myself. And I don't have to. I grew up going to church. I grew up knowing Jesus. And then it's like, you know, we kind of stopped and they started again. But it's different when you start to build that relationship with him as an adult, as your own personal relationship. You know, you can grow up in a religion and you could grow up in the church, but that's still from your parents' relationship and not necessarily yours. So I think that it's good as adults that you build your own relationship with him, whether that's through your parents or not. You should still have that relationship versus just like, oh, I'm just going to church because my mom and them are bringing me here. So I just started to build my own relationship with him, you know, getting to know God again and getting to put my trust in God again. And I promise you all that this podcast is not supposed to come off as like a preacher, podcast, or anything like that, but I can't sit here and be a motivational speaker or anything like that, knowing that I worship God, knowing that he's a huge factor in my life, knowing that I wouldn't have been able to get out that depressive state without him, you know, sending me people, giving me messages, giving me the encouragement, helping me push through every day, you know, giving my pastor the messages, giving the people around me the keywords to say, put in a support group around me. I wouldn't have been able to do that alone. And when it's time for us to reflect and it's time for us to talk about post-grad diaries, let me tell you something. Post-grad diaries has a lot to do with therapy, post-grad diaries and healing throughout, you know, stuff that's happened while I was in college and going into this new chapter in my life. I'm not doing that shit without bringing him with me. I'm not doing it without God. I was walking in a season and I was getting so cloudy and getting so frustrated. I told you I was passing out at concerts and I was doing a lot. I had a lot going on. Like, we're going to get into it more throughout the season, but I had a lot going on. I'm passing out at concerts. My face is getting pus sockets. Passing out had me. Okay, passing out had me. Passing out. How many times did I pass out? I think I passed out 3 or 4 times at one concert. It was like, you're literally killing yourself trying to figure this out by yourself. Life is not meant to be that hard. I heard that in church too. That life is not supposed to be that hard. Like, things can be hard, things can be difficult, but like, it should not be where you're passing out 3 to 4 times at a concert. Like, girl, get it together. Literally, get it together. But I say all that to say, for everybody out there who is experiencing a season in their life, or they just graduated, or they're getting ready to graduate, and it's like, I don't know what to do. I don't have a handbook. I need to, you know, figure it out. Nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody has a handbook. Life does not come with a handbook. The successful woman over there in the corner is not following a handbook that she got when she was born. Some people might think they are. Cool. But life doesn't come with a handbook. Everybody's life looks different. Everybody's experience looks different. I don't know who you believe in. I don't care what you believe in. I'm not here to convert anybody. I'm not here to do anything like that. I'm telling you all my experience. And whoever it is that you serve, whether it be God, Allah, crystals, spirits, the earth, the planet, your damn self, whatever it is, for me, I had to realize that I had to give up some of that control. Having all of that control was literally killing me. I don't want to have the control. I will give you over the remote control. I don't care. Like, I had to just be that, like, that's soft girl era. Like, I don't care. Like, here, figure it out and just, you know, literally you could move my arms up and down if you need to. I don't want to be in control. Because me being in control is killing me. Literally, I'm getting sick. I'm literally passing out. Like, damn near dying. Trying to figure it out by myself. And I asked for God to, I don't need my steps. I don't need a step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Just tell me my purpose. Help me figure it out. Help me figure out what I want to do with my life. God, you sent me to school for a reason. You sent me to that school for a reason. You had what I went through. I went through it for a reason. Like, everything that's going on is for a reason. And right now, I don't know what it is for. I don't know why you made my parents do that to me. I don't know why you made me go to that expensive school knowing I didn't have like scholarships or whatever. I don't know why I was sent there to do this. I don't know why you allowed for me to, you know, get this microphone. Why you allowed and gave me these lights, this camera. I don't know why you gave me all of this stuff. I don't know why I have nothing. I don't know what this is for. There's a reason why you got me this tablet, you know, for school. Why I got the Samsung deal. It's a reason why. Because I needed this tablet. I needed the Fitbit for my workouts. I needed this tablet to be able to look at these podcast episodes. It's a reason why you keep sending me all this makeup, because you want me to get dressed and get myself together and not have to worry about that financially, but still be able to produce a podcast. It's a reason why I was gifted this camera. It's the reason why I was able to get this microphone. It's a reason for everything. And I don't know what it's for. I don't know what you're trying to do with me. I don't know what you're setting me up to do. I don't know what my purpose in life is. I went to school, I did X, Y, and Z. What am I supposed to do with this? And I started to just ask God for what do you want me to do? Literally, what am I supposed to do? And I don't think that God put me here to show you all outfit videos. I don't think God put me here to show you all how to do your makeup. There's enough people out here, and that's some people's purpose. It's not mine. I don't think that's not what he put me here to do. He didn't put me here to say, get ready with me. Girl, no. That is not what God put you here to do. And let me tell you something. God put me here with these stories, with this voice, for me to do this right here. This is what I'm here to do. I don't need step 1, step 2, step 3. I just needed a vision. I just needed a purpose. I just need to have my steps be aligned with whatever God's plan is for me. And I know that anything that's supposed to happen is going to happen. I kind of live my life like that. Like if something doesn't happen now, I try to be like, it was a reason for that. Like, I wasn't meant to do that today then. Something happened and I was not supposed to be there. Like, I could be sad, oh my gosh, I'm running late, da, 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 da. It's the reason why I wasn't on time. Something happened, I shouldn't have been there at that time. Shouldn't have been there. God already know, God did. It's the reason why I wasn't there on time. It's the reason why my car had a flat tire. It's the reason why my engine light was on. It's the reason why I didn't have that money yesterday. Because I would have spent it on this. So if I get it now, then it's perfect timing, perfect steps. Everything's aligning. And the truth is, nobody really knows what they're doing. And that's okay. And you can either have anxiety and try to have control on it yourself, or you can just like sit back and truly just enjoy life and everything that you're experiencing. And for me, in my post-grad diaries, I've decided to give my life to God again. I've decided to release all control, and I don't need to know what I want to do. I just need to know what God wants me to do. And that's what I started to pray for. That's what I started to look for in my journey. That's what has given me peace. And that's what's honestly helping me become successful. If I'm being true. And we'll talk more about that in another episode. I'm not going to keep talking y'all head off. I want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in to episode 2. Like I told you all in the beginning, definitely let me know what you all thought of this episode. I'm super interested in hearing you all. Like I said, this is not a podcast. I'm not a preacher or anything like that. I just know that if you're living your life in God and you're living your life for God, you know, it shows. And it's not nothing I'm trying to hide. Like, I live my life for him. So this is what he put for me to do. So you're going to see him in me. And I hope that's what's coming across. And I hope for everybody that's listening, that's what you hear. And I'm real. I mean, I cuss. I like I said, I've had real life experiences that are quote unquote sins and everything like that. But I don't think there's no perfect Christian out here. And yeah, like I said, it's still my life. He loved me regardless. So, thank you all for listening. Make sure you all are following. Make sure you all are subscribing. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe. Make sure you're following us if you're listening to us on podcasts and Apple Podcasts, and Spotify Podcasts. Sometimes you could be listening and not actually like following. So make sure you're following, guys. Make sure you're following us on social media as well. I have a lot of content coming out for that. So yeah, I love you all. I really do. I appreciate you all. I really do. I want to make sure that you all know that. And I will see you all in episode 3. Episode 3 is called I Want a Makeover. So make sure you're tuned in next Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, wherever you're listening to this podcast at, because you don't want to miss it. I'm excited to talk about that topic. I want a makeover. So it's going to be different than like this week's episode for sure. Something different and refreshing. We have 25 episodes this entire podcast. So yeah, I love you all. And I will talk to you all next Monday. Bye.
Rexo.